A young boy named Dicky goes to a very posh school in dirty clothes because he fell over while on his way. His teacher, Cow, refuses to go near Dicky when he tries to explain why he is dirty. Then, a kind-hearted Miss Ewan interferes and tells Cow that she will speak with this boy. She then asks Dicky how he got his clothes dirty, to which Dicky explains his situation. Worried, Ewan asks Dicky if his parents didn't drop him off at school. In response, Dicky explains that his dad is always busy and his mom passed away. Concerned, Ewan wants to talk to Dicky's father about this problem, so she asks him to bring his father whenever he has time. Later, in class, the teacher asks the students what they want to become when they grow up. Dicky answers that he wants to be poor. The class is surprised, but Dicky explains that his father always tells him that if he grows up to be honest, hardworking, and studies well, then even if he stays poor, people will still respect him. Everyone else laughs at him, but one girl claps for Dicky. While Dicky is speaking, Tao accidentally drops his pen on the floor. Dicky kindly stands up, picks up the pen, and gives it back to him. However, the teacher reacts in a rude way. He tells Dicky to place the pen back on the floor and then picks it up with a cloth because Dicky had touched it. During lunch break, one of Dicky's rich classmates named Johnny shows the other boys his newest toy, a robot dog called CJ1. At that moment, Dicky notices Maggie, a girl in the class whose body size looks very different from the other students. Some boys begin making fun of her. Dicky steps in and tells them to stop bothering her, but the boys ignore him and walk away, laughing. Later, gym class begins, but Dicky is not allowed to join the activities because the teacher says his sneakers are not suitable. A few minutes later, Maggie quietly sits beside him and says she pretended to forget her sneakers so she could stay with him. She asks if all his shoes are that old, and Dicky says yes because his father once found them in the trash. Even though Dicky respects his father and is not ashamed of him, he still wishes he had new sneakers so he could join sports classes because he loves sports very much. Meanwhile, at the construction site, Dicky's father looks very weak and struggles to work. His boss decides to send him home, but the man begs him to let him stay because he needs money to buy a fan for his son, who cannot sleep at night because the weather is very hot. Ty's boss asks him why he works so hard and suffers so much just to send his son to a private school. Ty explains that he wants Dicky to have better chances in life and not grow up struggling the way he does. After hearing this, the boss allows him to keep working. That night, T rides home with a fan tied to his bicycle. They live in an abandoned building that is partly destroyed. When T arrives, Dicky is waiting for him and is surprised to see the fan. But when T turns it on, the fan does not work. Dicky begins to think his father probably found it in the trash, but T insists that he paid a lot of money for it and that it was working when he bought it. Because the fan is broken, Dicky later uses a small hand fan to cool himself. During dinner, Ty cuts away the rotten parts of an apple so he can give the good part to his son. At that moment, Dicky asks if he can get new sneakers. Ty promises that he will buy him a pair soon. Before going to sleep, they spend time together having fun. One thing they enjoy doing is killing the cockroaches that hide in the corners of their home. The next morning, they stand outside an electronics store watching television through the window. The news shows a picture of a flying saucer that someone claimed to see. However, the object in the photo looks exactly like the head of the man who said he saw the spaceship, which suggests he was lying. While T watches the news, Dicky enters the toy store next door and finds a toy similar to Johnny's robot dog. He tells his father that if he buys the CJ1 toy, he will never ask for anything again. But T has no money and asks him to put the toy back. Dicky keeps insisting, so his father slaps him. Dicky returns the toy, cries, and runs outside. Ty follows him and finds him standing with his teacher, Miss Ewan, who says she wants to visit their home to talk about Dicky, but T shyly says he is too busy with work. During the night, Ty goes to a junkyard and finds a pair of sneakers that still look good. He plans to give them to Dicky. While searching there, he also finds a television and tries to check if it works. At that moment, a flying saucer suddenly appears from the pile of junk and quickly flies away, leaving a small toy behind. When Ty returns home, he tells Dicky that he has found something even better than the CJ1 robot dog. Dicky becomes curious and goes to see it, but he discovers that it is only a strange jelly-like ball. Even though it looks useless, Dicky still decides to take it with him to school. At school, Johnny comes to bother him again. When Johnny asks what the toy is, Dicky proudly says that it is called CJ7 and that it is even better than CJ1. Johnny laughs and says that Dicky's father probably found that trash in the garbage. Dicky becomes angry and warns Johnny to stop talking about his father. Johnny then blows a whistle, and a very big boy called Dragon appears. Dragon is almost 5 times bigger than Dicky. He grabs Dicky's arm and throws him away easily. That night, Dicky's father scolds him for fighting at school and for tearing his school uniform. Dicky explains that his classmates were laughing at him because of the strange toy. While telling the story, he accidentally turns the ball on. The ball begins to move, and sharp spikes suddenly appear on it. Then a dark hole starts forming nearby. Frightened, Dicky throws the ball away. He tells his father the toy is cursed and begins to imagine ghosts around the house. His father ignores him and continues fixing the uniform. Soon, the closet door near the bed slowly opens. Dicky looks inside to see what is there and suddenly sees a strange creature moving. He screams again. Annoyed by the noise, his father puts him inside the closet for a few minutes. Dicky becomes very scared and asks God to protect him. Suddenly, the green ball starts glowing like a flashlight and creates an illusion that sends Dicky into another dimension. In the vision, he sees a strange creature with a cabbage-shaped head using its antenna to repair something. While doing this, the stone that gives the creature energy breaks, and it turns into a small stuffed doll. However, if the energy stone is replaced, the creature can come back to life again. After the strange vision, Dicky is shocked to see that the green acorn has changed into a small alien creature. When his father opens the closet door, Dicky quickly hides the creature so his father will not see it. After his father leaves for work, Dicky tries to understand what the strange creature is. He finally decides that it must be a space dog, so he names it CJ7. The two spend the whole night having fun together and dancing around the house. At one point, the little creature finds a rotten apple and uses its powers to change it back into a fresh apple. When Dicky tastes it and realizes it is no longer spoiled, he becomes sure that CJ7 is a magical dog. The next day at school, Dicky walks in proudly with CJ7 sitting on his shoulders. He decides to test the creature and says that if CJ7 can defeat the meanest dog in the world, it will prove that he is really an alien superdog. Hearing this challenge, CJ7 runs toward the dog and with only a few quick moves defeats it. Dicky becomes very proud and happily continues walking to school with CJ7 on his shoulder. Later, Dicky hides in the school bathroom and asks CJ7 to help him score 100 on his upcoming test. CJ7 opens a small toolbox and quickly makes special glasses that allow Dicky to secretly look at the answers of his classmates. During the test, tiny robots with one big eye come out of the glasses and study the exams of other students. Johnny notices the robots and starts chasing them, accidentally hitting the teacher. Maggie also pretends to chase a fly to hide what is happening. Later, when the results are announced, Dicky receives an A for the first time. While celebrating, the teacher asks to see Dicky's glasses. Dicky throws them toward him, but when the teacher gets close, they suddenly explode. Later, Dicky asks CJ7 for help again before gym class. The creature quickly makes special super sneakers for him. During gym class, the teacher shows his personal jumping record and says no one has ever beaten it, but Dicky easily jumps higher than the bar. Surprised, the teacher lowers the bar and asks Dicky to jump again. The boy accepts the challenge. When he jumps, his special sneakers allow him to leap even higher than before. Next, he goes to the treadmill, and suddenly the shoes release mechanical legs that attach to his own legs. With this help, he begins running so fast that the treadmill cannot keep up with his speed and eventually breaks. During swimming class, he performs very well again. When he jumps into the pool, propellers come out of his shoes and help him move very quickly under the water. In soccer, his kick becomes so powerful that it destroys the goalpost. At that moment, the teacher realizes that something is strange about Dicky's sneakers and challenges him to a fight. Surprisingly, Dicky wins the fight. Then Miss Ewan appears and tells him that he has gotten himself into serious trouble. Meanwhile, Chow arrives at the soccer field with several police officers. Dicky quickly escapes because his sneakers also allow him to fly. After seeing a cloud that looks like CJ7, Dicky suddenly wakes up with the rest of the apple still in his mouth and realizes that everything was only a dream. At that moment, his father comes home from work and tells him to wake up and get ready for school. Soon, Dicky notices the small alien creature inside his backpack and thinks that even if the dream was not real, the alien dog still is. He believes CJ7 can help him get a perfect score on his test. On the way to school, he stops in an alley where a dog lives and challenges CJ7 to defeat it. CJ7 does not run away and tries to face the dog, but the dog rushes forward and throws the little creature away. Both Dicky and CJ7 quickly run away to avoid being attacked. Now Dicky begins to feel disappointed with his space dog, but he still brings CJ7 with him to school. In the bathroom, he argues with CJ7 and tells the creature to use magic so he can score 100 on the test. However, the only thing CJ7 can do is produce a strange super poop. Dicky carries this into the classroom, and during the test, he keeps looking at it hoping for an answer, but nothing happens. Finally, Cao announces that the time is finished, and Dicky becomes desperate because he has not written anything on the test. Johnny notices that Dicky is carrying poop and begins laughing at him. He even throws the poop so that it lands on Dicky's face. After the test, Dicky becomes very angry, and already full of frustration, he grabs CJ7 and pushes the creature's head down into the toilet. Dicky says that the dog tricked him and demands that CJ7 give him the magical powers he expected. Instead, CJ7 only responds by blasting out more poop. Later during gym class, Dicky smells terrible and is completely dirty, so the teacher asks the gardeners to wash him using their water hoses. After this embarrassing moment, Dicky again goes looking for CJ7. This time, he pretends to feel sorry and calls the little creature, asking it to come out from hiding. CJ7 believes his words and comes closer, but as soon as it does, Dicky grabs it and throws it into the trash. Dicky then walks away, leaving the alien creature behind. However, after a short time, he begins to regret what he did. He realizes that CJ7 was not to blame, and that he himself had created too many expectations. Feeling guilty, Dicky runs back to find CJ7, but by then the garbage truck has already arrived and taken the trash away. Dicky runs after the truck and shouts for the driver to stop, but the driver does not hear him and keeps going. Later, when Dicky arrives home, he sadly tells his father that he lost the toy he had found. Dicky begins crying and feels very upset. At that moment, his father tells him that a strange creature came there earlier and seemed to be waiting for him. When Dicky sees CJ7 again, the little alien jumps happily toward him as if it had already forgotten everything that happened earlier. Dicky's father becomes curious and asks what the strange creature is. Dicky quickly says it is only a toy. The man begins testing it by bending, twisting, and swinging CJ7 around. He even presses it with an iron plate, but the creature is still alive. The father decides to destroy it, but Dicky quickly asks him to stop hurting his toy. That night, the weather is very hot, and Dicky cannot sleep. CJ7 secretly uses its antenna to repair the broken fan so the room becomes cooler. After using its power, the little creature becomes tired and goes to sleep. The next morning, Dicky's father is surprised to see that the fan is working again. Dicky then shows him the test results, and the father is shocked to see that Dicky received an A. Later, Dicky walks to school with CJ7 sitting on his shoulders, and soon the troublemaking boys from his class notice him again. When Dicky realizes that the others have noticed him, CJ7 quickly jumps into his backpack to hide. Johnny asks Dicky what he was hiding, but Dicky ignores him and keeps walking. Suddenly, Johnny steals the backpack and captures CJ7. The little creature manages to escape for a moment, but Johnny chases after it. After a few seconds, Johnny catches CJ7 again. He then begins using different tools to try to see what is inside the strange creature. However, none of the tools are strong enough to break or pierce it. Dicky manages to break free and jumps onto Johnny, creating a chance for CJ7 to run away. Just as Dicky is about to punch Johnny, the huge boy called Dragon appears and grabs Dicky's arm. Dragon wants to beat him again, but Maggie steps in and orders Dragon to let him go. Dragon tries to knock Maggie down, but Maggie is stronger. With one strong punch, she throws him away. Dragon then throws a barrel full of water at her, but Maggie easily breaks the barrel with her bare hands. Dragon refuses to stop and runs toward her again, but Maggie grabs him tightly around the waist and squeezes him until he faints. After that, she helps Dicky up and asks if he is okay. Dicky thanks her for helping him. At that moment, Cow appears and punishes everyone by making them stand in the yard. While they are standing there, CJ7 comes back and happily hugs Dicky. Dicky begins showing his classmates some tricks that CJ7 can do. He tells CJ7 to sit and asks it to make many funny faces. The students watch as the little creature performs the tricks. At the end of the game, however, CJ7 suddenly collapses and begins to break down. Later that day, when Dicky's father arrives at work, he proudly shows his coworkers the test paper that says his son scored 100. He feels very proud of Dicky's success, but when his boss comes to speak with him, the truth becomes clear. The boss explains that if Dicky really received full marks, it means he must have cheated. After checking the test carefully, he sees that Dicky actually scored 0 and simply changed the grade to 100 himself. The next morning, when Ty comes home, he questions Dicky about the test. Dicky finally admits that he really did change the grade. After hearing the truth, Ty takes CJ7 out of Dicky's backpack and says that Dicky will only get the toy back if he scores more than 60 on his next exam. Later that day, Dicky has another test at school, and this time he decides that he will truly try his best and answer the questions honestly. Meanwhile, his father continues working very hard on the construction of a tall building, many meters above the ground. While Ty is working working at the construction site, a terrible accident suddenly happens. A heavy metal cylinder falls from the building above and gets caught in a rope that is tied to Ty's feet. The force pulls him off balance and drags him down from the building. His co-workers quickly try to help him, but they cannot stop what is happening. Ty falls from the building. Before hitting the ground, he manages to grab onto a large tarp that is hanging nearby. For a moment, it seems like the tarp might save him, but the fabric cannot hold his weight. It tears apart, and Ty falls to the ground with serious injuries. At the same time at school, Dicky is very happy because he has just received the results of his exam. Soon, Miss Ewan comes to him and takes him to the hospital where his father has been taken. While they are there, the woman receives terrible news from the doctors that T could not survive his injuries. Feeling heartbroken, Miss Ewan takes Dicky home and gently tells him that his father has died. Dicky becomes very upset and desperate. He asks the teacher to leave him alone and says that he only needs to sleep. He believes that when he wakes up, his father will come back again. Seeing how sad the boy is, the teacher leaves because she knows there is nothing more she can do for him. That same night at the hospital, CJ7 manages to crawl out of T's bag. T had taken the toy with him to work so Dicky would not bring it to school again. When CJ7 sees T lying there lifeless, the little alien becomes very sad and decides to try to heal him. CJ7 uses its powers, and at first, Ty's wounds slowly begin to heal, but it is still not enough to wake him up. Even after using its power for only a short time, CJ7 becomes very tired and weak. Still, the small creature refuses to stop and continues trying to help him. The next morning, when Dicky wakes up, he is shocked to see his father sitting beside him as if he had simply fallen asleep. Dicky quickly hugs him and begs him not to leave him again. Ty does not fully understand what happened, but hugs his son warmly. A little later, Dicky finds CJ7 nearby and realizes something is wrong. The little creature can barely move and makes a strange sound. Suddenly, a small glowing sphere falls from its antenna, and CJ7 turns into a soft rag doll. Ty thinks the toy simply ran out of battery, so they try to find some way to power it again, but nothing works. Dicky then decides to carry CJ7 with him everywhere, hoping that one day his friend will wake up again. Later during the summer holidays, the students gather together for a picnic. While they are there, Dicky notices a flying saucer coming closer. At that moment, CJ7's antenna suddenly begins flashing. Soon, many small creatures that look just like CJ7 appear and start running toward him. This gets Dicky happy because his wish of meeting CJ7 again just came true.